It was a warm spring day in Yosemite Valley as we began our hike up the Merced Trail. The sounds of the rushing water emanating from the Merced River was therapeutic, inviting us deeper up the canyon. The first few miles of the trail were actually on pavement, providing easy access to incredible views everywhere you look. As you climb through the forest, running into wildlife is almost a guarantee. About a mile into the hike, we began to hear the booming sound of Vernal Falls, one of Yosemite's many famous waterfalls. As we walked up to the falls, the size and power were overwhelming. We took a few minutes to soak in the beauty of Vernal Falls, literally. The wind and mist created by the cascading water got us completely wet. After drying out above Vernal Falls, we continued up the canyon, where the impressive Liberty Cap came into view. After a small forest section, we began to hear the river thundering above us again as we approached Nevada Falls. The view really opens up above Nevada Falls, and we were able to look all the way back towards Yosemite Valley. The top of Nevada Falls is also where the Merced Trail ends. We linked up with the famous John Muir Trail as we headed into Little Yosemite Valley, with the Merced River still flowing by our side. Arriving at the Little Yosemite Valley Campground, we were surprised to see the campsites were almost completely empty. This is where most people spend the night before climbing Half Dome, so it's normally packed. Luckily for us, we came just before the cables were up, so it was very uncrowded. We felt really lucky to have a place that is usually so crowded almost completely to ourselves. After setting up our tent, we put away our gear in a bear box, ate our dinner by the fire, and called it a night. Tomorrow, we would climb up to Cloud's Rest. The next morning was cold and quiet. Eventually, we had to get out of our sleeping bags and start the day. We filtered our drinking water to the sound of birds, who immediately started chirping as the sun's rays began hitting the forest floor. We discussed the day's plan over an interesting breakfast combo where the two dishes were oatmeal and instant ramen. I know it's probably not the most mouth-watering combo, but everything just seems to taste a little bit better out here. Plus, we wanted to eat a big breakfast, so we didn't have to bring a big lunch on the hike.
Speaking of breakfast, it's not long.
2,000, remember, 2,600 calories.
If you're active.
If you're active.
We left our tent in the late morning and began the 5.5-mile climb up to Cloud's Rest. For most of the hike, you're in a forest, but every now and then a view will open up, foreshadowing what is to come. It was mid-spring in Yosemite, and the snow was melting fast, which created a ton of really beautiful streams that flowed all through the forest. The water in all these streams flows down to the Merced River, which then tumbles over Nevada and Vernal Falls, and eventually ends up in Yosemite Valley. It was awesome to be so close to one of the Merced sources and really put things into perspective. With each step, the forest trees began to thin, the high peaks and Half Dome became visible, and eventually the forest was replaced with snow and rock. By this point, we were about a mile away from the top, and despite the snow, we made great time and cruised up with no issues. We weren't sure exactly what the view from Cloud's Rest would be, mostly because everyone seems to talk about the climb up Half Dome. But after reaching the summit, I would argue that the view from Cloud's Rest is far better. To the west, you look straight down 6,000 feet to Yosemite Valley. To the east, you can see the jagged peaks of the Cathedral Range and the High Sierra. Pretty much all of Yosemite National Park is visible from the top of Cloud's Rest, and on a clear day like this, the view is simply beyond words.